morning, folks. I hope that you are having an absolutely incredible morning. I don't know if you saw the very first press conference that was in Washington, D.C. I think the new press secretary did an absolutely fantastic job, but that's not what we're going to talk about, although there is one item in that conference, in that presser that we have to talk about.
Okay.
We will have that conversation. And I'm very much looking forward to that. So we're going to do that, but we are going to talk about a mindset issue. We're going to teach you guys something that you probably have never heard before. I mean, if you've watched us, you probably have heard it before, but we are going to teach you a Middle Eastern mindset issue that will help you better be able to understand what's going on over there. We've probably heard this week the phrase, mess around and find out. Of course, I'm modifying that a little bit. Okay. The president said it a completely different way as it related to Colombia.
And this is Colombia, the state, not the university.
Yeah, the Colombia, the state, the country, not the university. So we've got that nonsense going on. And let me tell you something. Iran is playing with fire, and I think that fire is going to burn them to the ground. I'm telling you that right now. They are pushing Hamas in a very specific direction. We'll talk about that. I think there's some interesting stuff that goes with the ground there. Mahmud Abbas seems like he wants to be the new Hamas leader via proxy. I mean, that's look, he's an easy one to figure out. He's very predictable, but that's a whole other issue. So we're going to have a conversation about Mahmud Abbas, who is, by the way, for those of you that don't know, he is the leader of the Palestinian Authority. That in and of itself provides an incredible just conundrum for what's happening in the Middle East. I don't think it's going to serve as a barrier for Trump. I actually think it's going to create a wide open door for him and Bibi, for that matter. We'll talk about that. And then the other thing that we're going to talk about, which I think is also extremely important, is what we can expect in the short term, especially with what we know concerning these hostages now. Ugh. So there's a lot to be said. I will just tell you this. David and I were right. Okay, the assumptions we made were correct. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to make those assumptions. It doesn't take some super observationalist to make those assumptions. And then one other thing I want to ask you before we go over super chats and super stickers is you may have noticed we pinned them to the comments. If you are watching and you can't see the comments coming across the pipe, I am now on X. So that's x.com/James Kaddis. I'm not asking you to go over there. We're not broadcasting over there right now. We want you to stay here on YouTube or on Rumble, depending on where you're watching us. But we do want you to go there and to follow me. And I would love to see you guys do it now if you have not already done it. The goal is to get a whole bunch of people following me on X. We are going to bring different material to that platform. But we really want you guys to support us there. It would be a big blessing. And speaking of support, let me just do this, and then I'm going to cut David loose on the first part of what we're going to talk about today. We'll just call it the first segment because it is a first segment.
That sounds bad.
It is. It's a first segment. It's. I'm telling you, get ready, folks, for an education. Get ready for a tour guide education. It's going to be good. So we're going to go over that. So before we do, very quickly, let me just get into some of these super chats and super stickers. Thank you guys so much, by the way, for all of your support. You guys are great. Brad, you say New Jersey recorded a small earthquake last week. In other news, Chris Christie is okay after falling. Hey, listen, I get the right to laugh at a fat joke because if I fell in California, there'd be a nice earthquake report as well.
San Andreas would come apart.
No, San Andreas is a little stronger than me falling, but hey. But thanks, Brad. Brad's hilarious. And then Brad says, documents being released about JFK, RFK, and MLK What I want released is why the best show on YouTube, this one, keeps being demonetized. Bro, from your lips to God's ears, I think that eventually YouTube's gonna. I think they're gonna change on some of this stuff. I really do.
Well, we know who owns it.
Google.
Yeah, so maybe I don't know.
We know. Look, Google's already showing some signs of brightness. They have already changed the name on maps from the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
I did not see
They did that. They absolutely did.
Come on, show me a map of the Gulf of America.
They announced that they were doing that. They did. They absolutely did that. So that's hilarious. So good for Google, right? Brad Brun, another one, bro. You're on a roll, bro. You just going for it on these super chats. Rumor is Barack is leaving Big Mike for Jennifer Aniston. Everyone knows the only reason Jennifer is doing this is she's mad I won't go out with her. Oh, Brad, there's so much I could have said there, bro. I'm telling you, bro, you just opened yourself up to a can, and I have refrained from opening that can right now. I'm going to leave that one alone. You walked into that, bro. That's all I have to say. Maybe when we're off. On another note. Okay, speaking of that, you say, on that note, I can't get Big Mike. Can I get a Big Mike? Okay, here we go. Wait, that's the wrong button. That's the wrong button. Wait, maybe it's...
Is it this? Oh, it's this one. Big Mike! All right.
Isaiah 53, thank you. You say shalom to you all. Emmanuel, thank you so much. I just said Emmanuel like a white person. Emmanuel.
Emmanuel.
Yeah, I know. I just said it like I said like, hey, do you want a quesadilla, please? I want a taco. That's the way I said. I said Emmanuel. No, I can't even do it again.
Well, it's like me hearing them sing Hallelujah.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I say it the American way oftentimes because most of the time when people hear it the way we say it in our Semitic languages, they can't recognize it.
Well, if you want to do something very interesting, check out original Hebrew in regards to modern Hebrew.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that's just a side note for what we're talking about.
Those have remarkable differences. And then if you just use a transliterated word, like what Americans would say, hallelujah, for example, or Jerusalem, for example, or Joshua,
or Jesus.
Or Jesus, even Jesus. When you say it in our language, it takes on a completely different. I mean, just that you wouldn't even recognize it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Like, for example, when we say Capernaum in English, how do we say it in Hebrew?
Kfar Nahum.
Yeah. Can anybody recognize that? Well, I can.
Beit Lechem.
It's the way, yeah. Well, Beit Lahem, we say in Arabic, we say Beit Lahem, or in Hebrew, you say it exactly like that. I actually, it's funny when I hear those names, they sound more comfortable to me, maybe because of my upbringing.
So was he called Daoud, or was he called David, or was he called David?
Well, in Arabic, most of the time we would say Daoud is what we would say. And I believe it's very similar in Hebrew as well.
Well, in Hebrew, we say David.
Yeah. David, but sometimes in slang, I hear you guys say Daoud.
Yeah. Or Dod.
Dod. I hear that too.
Dod.
Yeah, I hear that too. Mr. Red, thank you so much. You say, what a journey it was reading through the book of Ezekiel and watching all your sermons chapter by chapter. I guess in the millennial time when, one quest is in the millennial time when the temple is, one question, that's what you mean. One question is in the millennial time when the temple is built, we will be physically there as saints or invisible to the human eye in spirit. No, the humans, I believe, will know us and see us, and we will be visible to them. I'm almost certain that will be the case during the millennial reign in that context. So thank you for that question. Pollyanna, God bless you. Thank you. You are an incredibly generous person. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. God, I love you. Oh, I love you. You say glory to God. Amen to that. David, Daoud, David,
Yeah, Habibi.
Didi,
Well, Dudu.
Dudu. Let's talk Mideast mindset for a second. Let's get into that. By the way, I have to read to you a title of an article that is just absolutely disgusting. I'm going to do that to you really quickly. Okay?
Okay.
Here it is. This is in Breitbart. Outrage after Palestinian president congratulates freed terrorists. Look at that. Look at. Let me just read the first paragraph for you. Long-serving Palestinian Authority president Mahmud Abbas called Yasser Abu Bakr, a former prisoner convicted of deadly terror attacks on Israel, to congratulate him after his release under a ceasefire deal, according to Israeli media reports. Abu Bakr, really?
Abu Bakr. He was.
We know who the animal is.
Well, historically, his name comes from the second caliph.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's right.
And it's not by chance that Abu Bakr el-Baghdadi was also the head of ISIS. I mean, it's a name that signifies. And again,
Masalam Baghdadi.
Yeah, well, may you rest in pieces.
Yallah, ya Nasrallah. Okay.
But maybe this ties into what I want to talk about today a little bit, and see if we can kind of connect that, what Trump is doing, and I mean, I'll mention Albania and Indonesia and that connection, and to a certain extent Colombia. I mean, that all kind of ties together. But I got James to allow me to take a couple of minutes to put on my Palestinian Islamic Brotherhood Sufi Jihadi Kafia and talk to you a little bit, because one of the things that I feel that is lacking is, why doesn't the world, including Israel, by the way, including the Western world for sure, really understand the Palestinians and the Arab mindset? What are we missing that this keeps on happening like this? And I need to back up, and I really do want to do I don't know if we can say a role play.
I think the non-leftists in Israel understand this.
Well, the non-leftists and I think even the leftists are starting to understand this more and more and more.
I agree.
But I think Trump has understood this, and what is at the core of this. I'm going to be a Muslim. I'm going to be a Muslim, how do you say, religious person for a minute. And I'm going to say this. The word Islam means submit. I have submitted to my religion. And as a result of that, I am supposed to take part in the rewards that come from that submission. For instance, if I die in battle for Islam, then I will get 72 virgins. That's part of the, how do you say, the arrangements that I have. But because I have submitted to Islam, we should be part of making the world a Muslim world. When Islam started off and it conquered the world for religious reasons, and it conquered the world for political reasons. And in Islam, there's no differentiation between the political and the religious. Meaning that if I am a good Muslim, Allah will allow me to vanquish, to conquer, to step on the necks of my enemy. Actually, these are quotes from the Quran. That's part of what I have coming to me if I am correctly submitted. And me and other people who have submit actually went out and conquered the known world for a while. But then something happened. And Islam has been on its back foot since the fall of the Ottoman Empire, 100 years. What do you think?
Yeah.
Or even since the how do you say, the siege of Vienna, okay, which was the high point of Islam, and from then they were turned back. So Islam has been on the retreat for probably about 300 years, but specifically since World War I for 100 years. And if I'm a submitting Muslim, I don't understand why that's happening. I can't figure out why. I have the best religion, I have the best prophet. We should be running the world. Now, you have to understand that nationality is not a Muslim issue. I'm a Muslim. The fact that I'm a Muslim that lives in Egypt, or a Muslim that lives in Syria, or a Muslim that lives in Iraq is less important than the fact that I am a Muslim.
Only to a degree.
Okay,
I'm going to take issue with that.
Oh,
because
right?
if you're black, it matters.
Race is a different issue. But here's the thing. They don't have the nation state. Syria never was a nation state. It was made up of different factions. But the people in Syria are either Shia Muslim, Sunni Muslim, this. My Muslim identity is more important. Why am I stressing this? Because Islam has been on the back foot. Islam has been pushed down over the decades, and the Muslims are asking themselves, Muhammad, living on a village on the side of a hill in Syria, is asking himself, why is this happening to us? What has happened to us? And the only reply that he can get is if he reads his Quran and he reads the Hadith, the more I submit, the more I'm willing to give up, the more I'm willing to be a part of it, the more I will achieve. So if I'm not achieving greatness, if the Muslim world is not achieving greatness, we're not submitting enough.
Yep.
And that is the core of the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood that started out back in the early 1900s basically saw the fall of Islam and said to the Muslim followers, you are not being fundamental enough. You're not connecting enough to the cores of Islam. You're not being Muslim enough. And as a result of that, the world, the Western world, and the rest of the world has overtaken you. Then comes 1948. And on the basis of this, a tiny little Jewish nation of people that came from nowhere after being slaughtered. Now, if you understand Islam as a religion of power, these are the weakest of the peoples. They come here, set up shop in our territory, and actually push us down. The word Nakba in Arabic means disaster.
Yep.
Now, most people think the disaster is the Israelis pushing the Palestinians out of the areas in 1948.
No.
But the word was actually coined, okay, to the fact that this tiny Jewish nation, the disaster is that we are being beat as the great Muslim empire by a tiny little Jewish nation. That hurt our pride, our religious pride, more than anything else. I need you to understand that that is the fundamental part of me, if I was a Muslim, of me being a Muslim. If you understand that, you can understand why most of the Muslim world is seeing what's happening in Gaza now as a victory.
Yep.
And this is something that a lot of people, I mean, people are asking me, wait a minute, what do you mean a victory? Gaza is in ruins. 20, 30, 40, 50,000, depending on who counts, are have been killed. The Hamas, no. If they can stand up on the rubble and go like this, they've achieved something. And I keep on asking myself, what have they achieved? So let's put my kafia back on, and let me tell you what I have achieved, okay? First of all, the whole Middle East today is a Western entity. It was the Western powers that created Jordan. It was the Western powers that created Egypt. It was the Western powers that created Iraq, Iraq, Syria, and all of this. So bad Muslims who are not fundamental enough, gave in to the Western powers and are willing to accept Western powers in our nations. But I'm a good Muslim. I have submitted. I do not accept that. So I see Syria as an abomination. But here's what happened, okay? Now Syria is in the hands of the Muslims again. Now Hamas has held up its head against the greatest of the Western powers, the colonial powers, and has lived to tell the tale. Now, and by the way, a lot of people don't understand, in this dynamic, okay, Iran is not Muslim.
Right, that's right.
So now the
They're a different faction of it, but I get it.
It's not the kind of Muslim that me as a Muslim, jihadi, fundamentalist Muslim
that's right.
Brotherhood. Now, the Jews these crazy demons have put down Iran, and now the Muslim Brotherhood, Erdogan, the people in the streets of all the Muslim nations, and there's a difference between Muhammad that lives in Syria and Muhammad that lives in Iraq and Muhammad that lives in Egypt, and their governments. The governments are willing to accept Western influence. They are the people in the streets are against. They're saying, now we've got our pride back. Now we're standing up. Israel has not succeeded in Gaza. It has not brought Hamas down. And if you look at the events after the release of the hostages, Hamas is standing there proud, and actually showing the world that they have control of Jewish women, which is part of the Muslim mentality. Okay, they're standing up proud. They've held back the Israelis. They have stopped the Abrahamic Accords as of now, and then as of probably 2 weeks ago. And I, as a young Muslim living somewhere in the Middle East, I'm saying I have my Muslim pride back in place. And I need people to understand that is that is what we're dealing with. Now, don't get me wrong. For many years, I thought that mentality, that sense of shame that the Muslims had of the West of the world overtaking them, and that sense of, by the way, the Arab Spring. What was the Arab Spring?
Oh, yeah.
The Arab Spring was these young Muslims saying, wait a minute, why has Israel achieved so much and we're so this? What does Israel have that we don't have? And they said, wait a minute, we are not fundamental enough.
Yeah.
And that's what...
By the way, that was the message of the State Department.
Yeah.
The Clinton State Department told them that they were not fundamental enough. I mean, if you really think about it, that's exactly where the heart of Benghazi and Shwed al-Tahrir in Egypt and all of these things happened. It came from that fundamentalist proposition.
Okay, but let's go back. What did Obama do first thing when he came into power?
Same thing.
Same thing. He went.
They're our brother. Look what he did before Gaddafi.
Look, and he
in
went
front of Gaddafi in Libya.
He went to the center of Muslim religious authority.
Yes.
And he said there, and he says, here, me, the greatest power in the world, I am bowing down to your Muslim religious authority. What did the Muslims say? Oh, finally, somebody recognizes our greatness.
Yeah.
Okay. What is Erdogan trying to do in Turkey? He's trying to recognize the greatness. He's going to be the great leader. He's going to return. He's going to create the caliphate. So if you understand that, and I'm saying this because I was talking to somebody who I know was a leftist most of her life, and she says, David, we thought that they had grown up out of this mindset. We thought that they had become more mature. We thought that they would become more pragmatic, and it turns out that October 7th, this is what we learned, that's not true.
Yeah.
That mindset, that thought process, that is what allows Muhammad living in Gaza to have his house blown up, to have his children killed, to have his wife not able to find shelter, and still stand up and say, this is me and my greatness. And this is something that I think the Western world needs to understand. And here's the thing. The only thing that bothers them, I mean, what can you do? What can you do to oppose this mindset? Israel is having the same problem with the Houthis, by the way. I don't know if you understand. The Houthis are there, same thing. Now, what do? You bomb them, they die, they say, I'm happy to die in the name of Allah. You starve them, they'll say, I'm happy to starve in the name of Allah. So how do you get them to stop attacking you? I mean, the same thing with Gaza. The only thing that does it is if you take away the basis of their determination, and that is the land.
Yeah. Yep.
That is the land. I mean, what's the problem that they have with Israel? They have a problem that we've taken their land.
Right.
They said it's all about the land. It's all about the connection to the land. It's all about the land. We will die. We will starve. We will kill. We will murder. We will rape in the name of the land. So if you take away the land, you've actually hurt them. How did we do all of this? Because what is Trump proposing to do now? I think President Trump has realized that dynamic, And he's saying, let's take the people of Gaza and put them in Egypt
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
or put them in Jordan.
And guess what Egypt and Jordan is saying?
No.
Yep.
But he's got a new idea. Did you hear the Albania one?
Yeah, this is let everybody know about this one. This is a very interesting story because Albania isn't a country that Trump just picked out of the hat. There's a reason why he's talking about Albania. And there's something significant about Albania that people have to recognize.
Well, you're going to go one way, I'm going to go another way,
Okay.
but this is classical Trump faction. You want to start?
Yeah, no, you go ahead.
Okay, mine start.
Yeah.
Albania is the poorest country in Europe. Albania is the one that Trump can put economic pressure on to accept something that they might not want to do in any case.
What prominent Islamic influence sits in Albania
I don't know.
in the Islamic population?
I don't know. The Kurds?
Most of the factions of Islam that exist in Albania right now are sympathetic towards Shiite causes.
Oh.
If you shove Islamic Brotherhood into
Albania.
that country, you not only create a massive threat for a significant economic failure, but you also create a massive threat for remarkable instability.
Ooh.
By the way, that threat is already on its way because of other things that have happened in Albania, which is why it was a brilliant move for the president to say, let's kick them over to Albania, because it's very likely that the Albanian government will accept it under the condition that American security or some kind of
Will hold
American
them in
security
place.
guarantee will hold them in place,
Well,
which we all know won't work.
again, how long have we been into this Trump administration?
Bro, like it's only it's been 8 days. But this is the thing. I keep saying this to people, and I don't know why people don't compute this. If you're looking at a game of checkers, Trump is playing chess.
Yeah.
You say, look at his move. This man is brilliant, folks. He's 18, 20 moves ahead. 30 moves ahead. I love the great Pat Bet David. And I'll tell you this right now. I suspect he never watches me. But if he did, he stole some of my phrases. And one of the phrases that I said that he's been using lately is that Trump is ahead 20 steps. And when it comes to Mideast foreign policy, there are people that I know that are close to him that are advising him correctly in some respects. The one thing that's interesting about this play that people will not see because they're not ahead of they're not the 18, 19, 20 steps ahead like he is. But the one thing that they don't see with this is this has nothing to do with the Palestinians.
Oh.
It has nothing to do with Albania. It has everything to do with Iran. Everything to do with Iran.
So, you know what Iran's reply was to that?
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear that one?
No, I don't, but I can guess what the reply is.
Well, here's the one that Iran, the foreign minister, no, the spokesman for the foreign ministry of Iran said, I think yesterday, he said Trump should take all the Jews and move them to Greenland.
So that doesn't surprise me. I mean, it's what that is in essence, it's a radically sarcastic response, but it is their way in the most derogatory way possible, expressing the anger that they have over the recommendation to send them to Albania because of the obvious inherent problem that that's going to create.
Well, here's the thing.
Because the Shiites in Albania are very much like the Shiites in what country? Azerbaijan.
Yeah. But I want to come back to Gaza, and I'm going to say this, okay? You can kill them. You can destroy Gaza. That won't hurt them. Take them away from their land. That is the only threat that Trump, and again, we've been wondering what kind of threat can Trump hold over the head of Hamas. It seems like this is the only kind of threat that will have any kind of traction. And whether he's planning on doing it or not, what Trump has shown again and again is the threat sometimes gets as much work done as the actual.
That, and then also, you got to keep in mind, the Palestinians are not tied towards the land bias. These people will go anywhere they can find a place to rip off. The reason why it's as big of an issue as you're saying with respect to the land is because it's not just the land, it's the land and the Jews. You didn't see them go nuts on that one day when the king of Jordan wiped out 30,000 of them.
No.
And said, don't ever come back.
They didn't go nuts when Assad was dropping barrels of chemical agent on them.
That's right. You didn't see them do any of that. As a matter of fact, the thing that I think is really, really funny is when Hayat Tahrir was doing what they were doing during that time and how they interacted with the PKK and the United States being complicit in aiding the PKK to try to subvert Turkey in that time. Again, the Palestinians weren't freaking out about the land grab. They didn't care about the land grab. The only time you'll see them freaking out about the land grab is when the land grab involves Jewish rights.
But it's why the Jews? Okay,
well,
now
the
again,
Bible's got that answer for us.
Well, I'm going to go from the Bible, okay, to something down and well, my mom said today it's all because of Sarah.
Yeah. I know. So for those of you that don't know the reference there, it's kind of a brilliant answer. Definitely, you could tell that's a pastor's wife answer. But it's like it's Sarah's fault because she didn't trust in the Lord. And she said, Abraham, go hang out with Hagar. Have a baby. Abraham said, I'll take one for the team. And then out comes Ishmael. That's what she's referring to.
Exactly. And he's been a man of anger and a thorn in our side ever since. But I'm going to go more.
Well, Sarah tried to kick him out.
Yeah, well.
So, you know.
Well, they try to kill her, but I mean, but what I'm trying to say is this. The Nakba element is what we are realizing today. Even me as an Israeli, even me who's been in Gaza many times, me who sat down and had deep discussions with Palestinians, the Nakba issue, the fact that the Nakba is on their shoulders as a people is something that we thought could be diffused, we thought could be accepted.
But who in their naivety would think that way?
Well, okay, so again,
I'm sorry.
You study history like I do, okay? And people keep on saying ideas cannot be killed. You can't have an idea disappear. Okay, but look at this. We fought World War II against Nazi Germany. And if you would have gone down that road, you'd say Nazism couldn't be killed. And by the way, that is true. Think about this. Right. There are still Nazis in the world today.
Yeah.
Okay. There's still people walking around going, Heil Hitler. And there's still people, doing this. So you can't really kill it, but they are not an element in the world today in any way, shape, or form that they were before. So we were thinking we could do that to the Palestinian mindset. Okay. You lost one, you lost two, you lost three. Get over it. Agree to disagree, and we can continue our life in some kind of form. We thought that was possible. I think Jews on the world, by the way, there's a connection to anti-Semitism here too. I'll see if we can kind of tie that in a very interesting Balagan connection. But we thought that they were going to overcome. Look at the Arab nations. Look at Saudi Arabia is no lover of Israel.
No.
Egypt is no lover of Israel. But I mean, we have a peace with Egypt that has given us relative peace and quiet for the last, 30?
Yeah, since 1978.
1979, I think, is when we actually...
Was it 79? I think it was 78.
Okay, but again...
Let me look it up. I'll look it up.
But here's the thing. We had peace since then, so fine. You don't like us. Okay, I can see myself living in a neighborhood with a neighbor I don't like, but, he's there, I'm there, we see each other in the driveway every once in a while, and that's it. No, the Arabs have not given up on this submission. Their core identity actually depends on this. And here's the thing. I saw a translation of an Egyptian movie where Israel was depicted as these... The Arabs don't see Israel just a nation.
Oh, you're right. Signed in 79. Established in 78.
Yeah.
That's
I think he
funny.
came in 78.
Yeah.
He came
Yeah.
in 78, but it's signed.
That's funny. I didn't. This whole time I think it was signed in 78. That's good. Good information.
But here's the thing. The people in Egypt, the Arabs in the world, and a lot of the Arabs living outside of the world believe that all Israel wants is to push the Muslims, to push the Arabs out, a greater Israel. We're a colonial nation. That's all we want. And they literally believe that we're trying to conquer Gaza. We're trying to conquer Lebanon. Israel doesn't want anything in Lebanon. We don't want anything in Gaza today. But because they don't understand that there's a different narrative, they're going to raise their children, and the way we used to say it in the army, they feed Israel's hatred with their mother's milk. I mean, the hatred of Israel is something that they take with their mother's milk. And I think, and I'm sad to say this, but this is biblical, Israel is at a point where it realizes that we thought we would reach an agreement, and we are going to live on our swords until the final event.
Yeah, I mean, forgive me if I just say it's naive to think that there was going to be some kind of a final agreement, other than the fact that we know the Bible says there will be peace in Israel for some time until Russia ends up attacking. But I just need people to understand what this looks like. Let me just show everybody this, because it's worthwhile everybody seeing this. This is Michael. By the way, just so everybody knows, he's dead.
May he rest in pieces.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah. He's in hell. He's an evil devil. Okay? Watch what this man says. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do this so that there's no confusion. I'm going to go to the bigger screen here. Okay? So that you guys can actually see the translation of what's being said. Now, I want to make myself clear here when you look at this. Okay? Memory did a very good job of translating this.
By the way, Memory does a very good job of
they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
They're phenomenal.
I mean,
they're a great organization. The Arabic is darn near perfect. Absolutely perfect. Pay attention to this guy. Listen to what he's saying here, okay? If you think for 1 second that these people want peace, you've lost your mind.
Or a two-state solution.
Or a two-state solution. You've lost your mind. They want the death of all Jews. Listen to this interview. Boy, I wish he could change his... I bet you he wishes he could change his mind now. Some good that dark dot on his head has done for him, right?
إنه هذا المعركة 7 أكتوبر فتحت أفق لموضوع الرؤية السياسية، وهنا يعودون إلى بضاعتهم القديمة حل الدولتين. وهنا أقول مسألتين في حل الدولتين. المسألة الأولى، نحن لا نقبل حل الدولتين.
He's saying we want nothing to do, absolutely nothing to do with a two-state solution. We don't want a two-state solution. That's what he's saying. And he's saying it in the strongest possible terms in Arabic. By the way, his Arabic is Slav Arabic. Okay, I just want to say that right now. Just leave it alone. But
by the way, question while we're doing this. Okay, one of the things that people don't realize is that there's a difference in what they say in Arabic and a difference in what they say in
100%
in English. Okay, and that is something we talked about before. Is what we call taqiyya. Okay, and everybody says it, everybody knows it, all Arabs know it, all Muslims know you're allowed to say whatever you want if it advances the role of Islam.
That's right.
I mean, you can lie, cheat, rape, and kill. Okay, if it advances the route of Islam, but basically they can say things, anything that they say, it would not be considered deceitful. It would not be considered a moral problem if they lie in the name of Islam.
That's right.
And they are lying to the Western world in the name of Islam, and they see it as normal practice.
That's right. 100% right.
And look what he says here.
Yeah, listen to what he says. And part of this just irks me. Part of this, when he starts talking about the river to the sea, just get ready to be disgusted.
هذا مصطلح مرفوض، لأنه معناه أنك أنت لك دولة موعودة
referring to the Palestinian. Oh, I'm pretending as though you guys can understand Arabic. Sorry. He's talking about the circumstance of the Palestinians. He says, let's shift our focus to the Palestinian state. Because he says, we don't want a two-state solution, so let's bring our attention to the Palestinian state. So in other words, he's clarifying, when I say Palestinian state, when I say those terms, I am talking about one state. I'm talking about the destruction of Israel.
The Jewish state.
And Jews worldwide.
They don't even call it Israel. They call it the Zionist entity.
Yeah, the Zionist entity, how the Huts, they use different types of phrases. Mm-hmm. There's some derogatory, some... Anyway, okay. So listen now what he goes on to say.
ومطلوب لك أيضا تعترف بالدولة الأخرى اللي هي الكيان الصهيوني. تعترف بشرعيته. فهذه مرفوضة. نحن نطلب التحرر، تخلص من الاحتلال، ونريد استقلالنا ودولتنا.
To get rid of the occupation is his code word for saying to get rid of the Jews. To kill the Jews. And get them out of our hair and out of the hair of the world. By the way, in the charter for Hamas, they say kill every Jew. Scatter them. And kill them.
هذا عدوي. أنا غير معني به. أنا
دولتنا اللي هي أي دولة
فلسطينية.
أي دولة فلسطينية.
طبعا إحنا بالنسبة لموقف حماس وموقف الشعب الفلسطيني في أغلبيته العظمى خاصة بعد 7 أكتوبر.
He says, look at the position of the American people after October the 7th. The point that he's trying to make is, you would expect the American people to be mad at us after October the 7th. But look at the support that they're giving us. Look what he says.
أظن تجدد الحلم والأمل. فلسطين من البحر إلى النهر. من الشمال إلى الجنوب.
البحر المحر. You know, I will just say this. He doesn't just say, when he says البحر المحر, he's talking about the river to the sea. But he's not just stopping at the river to the sea. He's saying to the north and to the south. He's saying we want to destroy all Jews all over the world. And he says that the United States is supporting him in killing all Jews.
وهذا حتى كما قلت لك أصبح شعار في الولايات المتحدة وفي العواصم الغربية وعند الجمهور الغربي الأمريكي والغربي إنه الشعب فلسطين حرة من النهر إلى البحر. هذه شعار الطلاب الأمريكان وفي العواصم الأوروبية كذلك. مشروعنا.
I think that in and of itself has to be one of the most obscene videos that's out there right now. But it's so clear.
So what I'm trying to say is this. Seeing the triumphant waving of the flags after the release of the girls last week and this play, they're playing a game. It's a long-term game. And it's not a game that is supporting a two-state solution. They don't want a two-state solution. And they are willing to sacrifice their livelihood and their lives and the lives of their children in order to achieve this because they believe that they are actually achieving a greater goal. The problem is not the fact that they don't have a land. The problem is the fact that Israel does have a land. Now, the moderate Muslim states are willing to bend the rules or accept something that a lot of people in Islam don't accept. But let's make this very clear. The people living in Egypt, the people living in Syria, even the people living in Saudi Arabia, even if there is an agreement with Israel, still believe that this was a Nakba.
Yep, of course.
Still believe that this is a tragedy for the whole Muslim world. And it's their job to make sure this doesn't happen. So what I'm trying to say is you need to understand that is a situation. There is no future solution besides strength, besides making sure that they cannot do this again.
Yeah.
Besides my son, my nephew, just now finished his basic training in the paratroopers in Israel. For many a tour group, actually on the Golan Heights or sometimes in the Western Wall saying, I was in military service when Dolev was born. When my youngest was born, I got a beeper. We didn't have cell phones back then, so I got a little pager. Yeah, it did not explode.
A safe beeper.
And I rushed, and I was literally in the delivery room in uniform with a rifle on my back when my son was born. And I remember holding him up and saying, maybe you won't have to do what I'm doing right now. But he's had to do it. And it looks like if they ever give me grandkids, they're going to have to do it. And I think most of us in Israel have realized that it's going to be an issue of generation after generation, again, until the Prince of Peace himself brings peace to the Middle East.
100%.
Now, if you understand that, I need you to understand what's happening in this hostage release. And I'm going to say, well, I put up a YouTube video last night about the prisoners, and I said very clearly, it's not a hostage release, it's not a ceasefire agreement, it's a ransom. And
that's a fair word.
What's the difference? Okay, when somebody kidnaps your loved one and puts them somewhere that you can't find them, and then says, if you want your loved one returned, you will have to pay something. You will have to do something. You will have to be something that is against everything that you are. Okay? It's not called an agreement. You're not making an agreement. You are ransoming your loved one.
That's right.
What Israel has gone through in the last 2 weeks is a ransom. It's us bringing the suitcase with the $2 million for the daughter that has been kidnapped, and putting it in the trash can, knowing that the kidnappers will come and take that. And I need to explain something, and this is something I went through in the video this time, and it's this. When you put that suitcase there, when you ransom somebody that you love because the life is being threatened, you give up a piece of your soul for that.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Now, we're happy they're back. We're joying. And again, if this is your daughter or your son and you're ransoming them, yes. But that suitcase is indicative of you giving in to evil.
Yep.
Your soul has to realize that in the name of their life, you are doing something that goes completely, deeply, profoundly against everything that you are and everything that you represent. Israel is going through that right now. Israel is literally going through that. Yes, we want our hostages back, but we are paying a ransom in ways that we will suffer in the future, and we are paying a ransom that is actually in blood, and we're going to pay for that. So please understand, Israel. Please understand who we are. Please relate to that like this, and please understand that we know that we are enabling the guy who kidnapped our loved ones just to try to do it again. We know that. We're paying for them to buy new guns. We're paying for them to get new power. We're paying for people to go back into the Gaza Strip to be able to fight again. That's the situation. And again, everybody's all excited about the agreements in it. No, it's not going to bring peace. And if that's their mindset, that's what you just now saw. And this is our mindset. You know that this isn't a peaceful resolution.
Yeah, no, I would agree. But I will make this one statement, and I will say that Bibi is a lot like Trump, President Trump, in that when Bibi makes a move, he's 15 steps ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Bibi is not, there's no way in the world that Bibi is doing some of the things that he's doing without a game plan to accomplish his ultimate purpose, which is not just the destruction of Iran's infrastructure of death, but my guess is to bring to justice every single one of these terrorists in ways that they've never been brought to justice before.
Well,
I think... Oh, no, go ahead.
Well, there is a special unit in Israel's intelligence agency that of men and women who walk around with the names that we know of everybody who took part, the actual perpetrators. And I don't know if you know, but they know that each of them has a target. It's going to be a year. It's going to be 2 years. They will meet their demise in a very practical manner. And anybody who knows what happened to the terrorists after the Munich attack in 1971 at the Olympics knows that Israel takes this very, very up close and very, very personal. They will pay a personal price.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Look, I spoke to the man who interrogated Yahya Sinwar.
Mm-hmm.
That man, you got to meet him, right?
Yeah.
What a beautiful man. I just fell in love with him.
Mm-hmm.
His Arabic, by the way, just beautiful, perfect Egyptian Arabic. Like you would think that the man was born and raised in Egypt, and then he just did it for fun. He switched over to a Palestinian slang, like a Jordanian type of an Arabic, that he sounded like literally he was a Palestinian born and raised somewhere in Ramla. I kid you not.
No, they're excuse me, very smart people.
Goodness gracious. One of the things that I learned, I'm not going to say I learned it from him, but one of the things that I mean, I knew that this was happening. I just didn't realize it was happening to the extent that I know now. But do you know, this is not you. Do you know? You know. The audience, there isn't a single one of these terrorists that Israel does not follow in their homeland territory. Meaning, I guarantee you, if Bibi conceded to releasing 1,000 of these savage animals, there are people that have been watching every one of their steps.
One of the things that we're realizing now after the war is that Israel had a AI system in place that was supposed to track where known terrorists are. Okay. And one of the things that the left and the more woke people are complaining about is the fact that when we see that tracking system rest for the night, Israel had a plan to put a bomb in the place where he was sleeping. So they were underground. Sometimes they would come up from underground. The system would pick him up, and not knowing exactly where he was, but would zone or aim a bomb at the place where he was. And in some of the cases, he went home to sleep with his family. Okay, and here's the thing. This is a guy who had murdered, raped, and maimed people in Israel.
Yep.
Is he a legitimate target? Definitely.
100%.
Okay. Is it legal to take out this target no matter where he is?
100%.
But we are being blamed for war crimes because he was sleeping in the bed with his wife.
So what?
And you're understanding the mindset that we're dealing with.
Yep. Oh, 100%. 100%. Look, part of the move with Trump, President Trump, wanting to bring some of these savages into other countries is giving them a taste of what Jordan already knows, Egypt already knows, Israel already knows, Lebanon knows.
Okay.
Come on. This is a smart game.
Okay, so let's tie this all together. I don't know if you'd pick this up. I just now come down my feed. Bibi's going to be meeting President Trump in the White House on Wednesday.
Yeah, no surprise. In the Oval. So the first foreign visit that he's going to do is going to be MBS.
Yep.
Guaranteed.
Yep.
And so, gosh, God bless our president.
I
just love our president.
I just watched it come down. Here's something else that came out of the White House. I don't know. I'm laughing just reading it here. Tell me what you think about this. Let me see. One of the reporters said that the White House reported that $50 million was allocated to buying condoms for the Gaza Strip.
Yes.
What is that?
Yeah, I watched.
Listen.
I watched the press conference Okay?
What is that?
Watch this. This is ridiculous. I watched the press conference go down where that was the case. And I don't know, Dale, maybe you can find that portion of the press conference so I can play it for everybody. But basically, these clowns in the media are questioning the validity of Donald Trump ending these aid programs. He just put a stop to all of it. And the reason why he put a stop to all of it is because, like, we just don't know where all this money is going to. So they push it with the new White House press secretary, which she's an amazing lady. They keep pushing it with her. Who's going to get affected? What about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? And she says, do you understand that $50 million was allocated to go to Gaza to provide condoms for everybody? Like, I mean, you understand the insanity of that. And by the way, as ridiculous as that sounds, that's the stupidity. The level of incredible stupidity that exists within the former Biden regime, who say they're allocating it for that, but they're not sending it for that. Listen.
And here's the thing.
Hamas is saying, oh, we'll take that money for that.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And then where's it going to? Qatar.
Well, no, not only that. The birthright has gone up. I mean, nobody used them.
I mean, what? Bro, more babies in the last, several months than we've seen. It's record-breaking right now in Gaza.
So, apropos birthright, what do you think about Trump's new...
Phenomenal.
Okay, so here's the thing. Okay.
It's completely legal, by the way. And you know what? People don't know.
Explain that. Because it took me a while to figure it out.
Okay, first of all, the use of the 14th Amendment is obscene in trying to establish the validity of birthright citizenship. Don't get me started on the technicalities of what we would call the Equal Protection Clause that exists foundationally within the for lack of a better term, that exists within the precedent that they say. Look, let me back up for a second.
Okay,
I'm going to simplify this really quickly.
Can I ask, from the point of view of a layman? Because, I mean, I was born in the United States, okay? My American citizenship is based on my being born in the United States.
But you were born in the United States to legal immigrants.
No, well, yeah. They were.
Your parents did not enter.
Citizens.
Your parents did not enter the country illegally.
But let me explain something else. I was a diplomat in Paris, and one of the things that we kind of had to deal with is that my first son was born while we were in diplomatic service between Cyprus and Paris.
Yeah, and he's not a French citizen.
Exactly. Meaning he wasn't born in Paris but we checked it out that if he was born in France while I am a diplomat in Paris, he will not receive French citizenship.
He can't.
Because he is, and here's the thing. I heard the birthright issue, and I said, wait, Trump isn't an idiot. And then you hear this judge that says it is unconstitutional.
Yeah.
And I said, wait a minute, what's going on? And then somebody said, yeah, but the 14th Amendment says born in the United States under its jurisdiction.
But again, the problem is this the equal look, they don't understand what that is. They don't understand what that means. Now, we could, if we want, spend the next 20 minutes going over a legal lesson, okay, especially as it relates to the 14th Amendment. These people who are claiming birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment are actually buying into the same logic of what might be one of the worst cases decided in American history, and that's the Casey case, which further solidified the bogus conclusion of Roe v. Wade. It's the same nonsense. The logic is faulty. Matter of fact, let me make this argument. I would argue that the 14th Amendment actually solidifies the position of the Trump administration and doesn't oppose it. Because when we start talking about citizenship by birth according to our Constitution must be within the specific context. Now, this is important. Must be within the specific context of the parents meeting the legal obligations set forth under the law. So if you come into this country and you are illegal, you are an illegal alien, you are not subject to the protections of the Constitution.
Well, not
You're
the
not.
birthright law in any case.
No law.
So
You have no birthright. You are an illegal. So
how
you
did
can have
that
your child can be born in the United States of America, but your child is not a legal citizen of America. Why? Because mom and dad broke the law. They broke the law. It's simple. This is not hard. This is not a hard issue.
So why did the whole East, woke ideology get up in arms about this? And how did that change? How come people have been getting American citizenship for being born here to illegal parents?
Because the interpretation of a very loosely, unchallenged, broken idea of what entitlement is in that context. But it's a widely debated, not only is it a widely debated issue, what Trump is about to do, and everybody better
It's put a lot of people out of business.
Everybody better shut their big mouths who are opposed to this. Because the more you guys run your mouths, the easier it's going to be for the door to be permanently opened, void of a constitutional amendment, for anybody who's been born in the United States of America to illegal citizens, illegal aliens, to have their citizenship,
revoked?
if it's been granted to them, revoked.
Wow.
But how do you revoke citizenship that's declared invalid in the first place? That's the problem.
I want to come to this from a different side. I mean, there are complaints in Southern America and China and all kinds of places in the East because there are whole companies who make millions out of taking pregnant women to the United States so they can have the baby in the United States.
That's the problem that the president is seeking to solve.
Exactly.
It's a human trafficking issue. There's so much more to this. I mean, listen. Look at this. If I wanted to adopt a baby from another state, it's already $50,000 to $100,000. If I want to adopt a baby from another country, you're at a minimum of $100,000.
Whoa.
And a lot of it is going to be dealing with the legal issues. Look, we had with our adoptions, the adoptions of our children, we had really wonderful people working with us on the legal side and on every side. But one of the lies that gets communicated is it's cheap and it's easy. No, it's not. It's expensive and it's hard. But I can tell you that if God's calling you to do it, not only will he provide it for you, but he'll make it feel easy. My point behind all of this is there's a reason why this is the case. And I personally, and I think you could feel the same way, I think all of us are offended with the notion that some kids should be entitled to American citizenship because their mom and dad broke the law. In the United States of America, let me explain something to you. I don't need to explain this to you. I'm just going to remind you of something. In the United States of America, if I have a dad who breaks the law, there are deeply rooted consequences that exist with his children. His children are automatically separated from him. His children get taken. I mean, look, there's so much to say about this. So now you're saying that because they're illegal aliens, they should be given this, exception?
Again, one of the things that I remember from Trump's inaugural speech was common sense. I mean, let's bring common sense back into this. You need to read out that super chat that just now came in.
Was it Bart Jen? Probably Bart Jen. Maybe the condoms are for the balloons for Hamas. Terror balloons. Anybody who is familiar with what's going on over there will know what that means. Because I don't know if you guys remember when I interviewed that precious girl who came from Oh gosh, which of the kibbutzes?
Nachal Oz, Afikim, Nir Oz.
No, Be'eri.
Be'eri.
They, every time they would see balloons in the air, they would run inside to the bomb shelters because the balloons were bombs.
They were filling them up with helium. By the way, not even bombs. There was a whole period where we were dealing with, how do you say, fire incinerary devices that they were tying to
that's right.
tying to the balloons, and they would kind of light up the fields, and we were having a major issue. So again, what we're seeing President Trump do, and I just now saw his signature on the invitation to bring Bibi to the White House and on Wednesday. That's going to be a very important thing.
Bibi's probably already on the plane.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I love our president. I'm so glad that I can be proud of our president again. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy about that. Okay, let's take us to the press conference here. Okay, this is I just how pathetic is this?
No, can I say something? Just seeing her, I haven't really watched her. This is the first time I've watched her, and again, she's replaced that little French lesbian press secretary before.
Yeah, one of the dumbest human beings to ever walk through the Oval.
Just looking at
she was
her,
a dumb human being.
Just looking at her with the cross around her neck.
Oh yeah.
Means that this is a different administration. Just that. I mean,
can you imagine? Can you imagine during the time of the Biden regime if you had first of all, you wouldn't have a white person up there at all. Certainly would not be a white person. You know?
I just noticed it just now, and just looking at that is so indicative of how different these two administrations are.
I just love it. Yes, we're back. The United States of America. What a God! Oh, God bless Donald Trump. Okay. Here we go. This is hilarious. It's not hilarious. It's actually sad. It's kind of derogatory. Matter of fact, I'm going to back it up a little bit just to provide a little bit of context here. Okay. Because again, what they're doing here is astounding. Let's just play this for some context. We'll give it about 20, 30 seconds. Here we go.
Freeze on hiring, as you know, regulatory freeze, and there's also a freeze on foreign aid. And this is, again, incredibly important to ensure that this administration is taking into consideration this cause. DOGE and OMB have actually found that there was $37 million that was about to go out the door to the World Health Organization, which is an organization, as you all know, that President Trump, with the swipe of his pen in that executive order, is no longer wants the United States to be a part of. So that wouldn't be in line with the president's agenda. DOGE and OMB also found that there was about to be 50 million taxpayer dollars that went out the door to fund condoms in Gaza. That is a preposterous waste of taxpayer money. So that's what this pause is focused on, being good stewards of tax dollars.
Doesn't affect Meals on Wheels or Head Start or disaster aid?
Again, it does not affect individual assistance that's going to Americans.
To follow up on Nancy, do you think there will be a list of who is affected and how much money?
It's amazing how these people are crying like little babies.
James, no, I've got something else. I mean, I could just see the Hamasnik in Gaza.
Come on, bro.
Getting an envelope with the stamp on the United States of America. And he says to his wife, Fadida, listen, the Americans have sent us some more money to buy condoms. And Fadida says, oh, those stupid Americans. Okay, pick up potatoes, would you please? And buy a couple more bullets for our AK-47.
That's right. I mean, that's the reality of it, bro. That's right. And that's even if Fadida gets it.
And Fadida is saying to her husband, look at these stupid Americans. Look.
All while they're, Allah, Akbar. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
So, which brings me down to something. Again, we're all enjoying this, and I have a feeling like, I I'm afraid that we're enjoying this too much. Remember, I'm Jewish. When something goes well, you got to look for what's going to go wrong. Okay, this is our mindset. James, what's going to go wrong? I mean, it seems like this is everything that we were complaining about and everything that we want to happen.
Well,
by the way, we
well,
need to
well,
talk
first of-
about Abu Mazen, by the way, because that is
Mazen is
connected
another
to
situation. We'll bring that into the conversation here for just a second, but I just want to do this real quick because this is like speaking of what's going wrong. I think that's the tactic of the Trump administration. The Trump administration is all about draw out the bad so that we can use the recourse that we have available to us to make permanent the change. These stupid people are walking straight into that. Like, again, even the analysis that's tied to the hostage deal, I just don't think people are seeing it completely through. I think a lot of minds are going to get changed when Iran's nuclear weapons are completely destroyed.
By the way, I have no doubt that one of the main subjects that they're going to be talking, Bibi and Trump, on Wednesday is what are we going to do? What is decided to do, or basically, what are you going to do? What I'm going to do?
How much do you want to bet that MBS is going to be a big part of that conversation, especially in light of Abdulaziz in his announcement? I think that's MBS's cousin, the energy minister, who basically says we are now making yellow cakes, and if we have to, we're going to monetize them. That's their coded way of saying, Israel, you better deal with the nuclear problem of Iran, or we will have nuclear weapons.
I think Saudi Arabia is realizing that it's going to have to pay for this new Middle East.
100%.
And it's going to have to pay the Palestinians to rebuild Gaza. That's where the money's going to come from. They're going to have to pay Israel to take out Iran's nuclear threat. That's going to happen. And they're going to have to pay the United States by turning down the anti-American rhetoric in the Middle East.
100%.
And I think MBS is understanding that. I think everybody's understanding that. I think, what's his name? Whitcliffe is now back in Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
Right now, as we speak, and kind of putting this all together. But I want to go back and step a little bit above everything, because we're all dancing in joy with everything that he is doing. Did you see his press conference with the mayor of L.A.?
Oh, that was phenomenal. What a great job he did. I mean, she's talking about you can't go back. If you're a homeowner and your house is burned, you can't go back to your house for 18 months. Donald Trump told her to just literally shove it.
No, well, he said like this. He says, you've got executive powers, emergency powers. I've got emergency powers. I know what it's like. You can use your emergency powers to solve the problem.
No, he went a step further. He said, I have used my emergency powers to help you solve the problem. You don't have any permit problems, according on the Fed side. I've already granted you all the permits, because she tried to use that as an excuse. And then he sends the Army Corps of Engineers into California to force the water switch to get turned on. He literally did it. Everybody thought that was not true. It was. We just got it confirmed in the press conference this morning.
Okay, so again, let's remember this conversation a year from now or 2 years from now, okay? And say, okay, what are we afraid of? What should we be weary of? What might go wrong? I mean, where is he going? I mean, it seems too good to be true sometimes.
Listen. The thing that everybody should be afraid of is peace. I'm telling you, we are going to see peace in the Middle East. It has to happen in order for the Bible prophetic timeline to take place. You have to have peace for Ezekiel 38. You have to have peace for Revelation 13. You have to have peace for the context that is provided by the Jews who think that the Antichrist is their Messiah. You have to have peace for the temple being rebuilt. Look, Jerusalem is already, like literally, Jerusalem is already on the agenda of MBS. MBS wants to take the Temple Mount away from Jordan. And the reason why he wants to take it away from Jordan is so that he can shelf it. He does not believe that Jerusalem or the Temple Mount is of any place of importance to the Muslims.
Let me tie that into what we talked about before. If you're a jihadi Muslim, the thing that pushes your button more than anything is the religion and the pride in the religion. It wasn't by chance that the Hamas called their attack on the 7th of October the Al-Aqsa flood.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, they are raising awareness and raising support from the whole Arab world based on the significance of the Al-Aqsa Mosque as a Muslim holy site. Okay, the only Muslim holy site that is not in Saudi Arabia. And if Saudi Arabia can take the Al-Aqsa off the holy site category and reconnect it to a site in Saudi Arabia, then they have pulled the carpet, the mythical flying carpet, out from underneath all of the Muslim fervor that has to do with Israel taking over a holy site. And that will allow them to diffuse this Muslim jihadi brotherhood fervor that is the main opposition to what Saudi Arabia wants to do.
Okay. If you want a real solid understanding of what the culture in Saudi Arabia thinks about Palestinians, you have to watch this guy. And I'm telling you right now, this guy is very popular in Saudi pop culture.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the royal family gives him permission to speak the way he speaks.
Well, so let's remember this. Saudi Arabia is not a democracy.
No, not at all. They call it a monarchy, but it's a lot stricter than the most strictest of monarchies. Look at what this man says. And by the way, the translation that he has is remarkable. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do the same thing that I did before so that you can see the text and you can see it well. I want you to pay very close attention to the words that this man is saying. His knowledge of history is pretty remarkable. Some of the things he says are pretty derogatory, admittedly, especially what he says about Bibi. He's mad at Bibi because Bibi isn't hard enough. Isn't hard, you know. Look at what he says here. This is pretty remarkable. This is remarkable. This man is Saudi Arabian. Okay? And he represents a large portion of the population. Watch this.
ما السعودية ما بقى شيء ما أعطتكم إياه، حتى دولة أسست لكم دولة، الملك فهد. يوم ريغان يطلب منه تمويل زوار الكونترا قال له وحدة بوحدة، أبي دولة لفلسطين، قال له أبشر. ووقع الخطاب دولة لفلسطين، وعلم الملك فهد عرفات إنه حصلنا دولة فلسطينية، هرب عرفات ما شافوه إلا بعد 10 سنين من هالكلام هذا، هرب ما يبي دولة فلسطينية. كلكم ما تبون دولة فلسطينية لأن أساساً ما لكم قضية ولا لكم دولة ولا لكم أرض، هذه أرض إسرائيل بالقرى، وأنتم شتات رومان ملفقين، مغول وتركمان وشركس وأرمن وغجر، ما لكم حق بفلسطين. فلسطين هذه دولة إسرائيلية لبني إسرائيل وبني إسرائيل لمعلومية.
And by the way, when he talks about these people, when he calls them Turks and all kinds of other things.
By the way, he's spitting out of the side of his mouth when he says
that's right. He's being he's like insulting them. He's trashing them. And he's using some of Saudi Arabia's traditional enemies as insult terms. He's not even being nice.
No. Let's make it clear. I mean, there is strife between the factions inside the Arab world as much as anything else.
Oh, come on. Look what he goes on to say.
بني إسرائيل هذولا عيال إسحاق، وحنا يا العرب عيال إسماعيل. وإسحاق وإسماعيل أخوين، أبوهم إبراهيم عليه السلام. يعني هذولا عيال عمنا، لكن أنتم منين جيتوا؟ أنتم وش دخلكم بالموضوع؟ أنتم يا الشتات يا الغجر يا المغول يا التركمان يا الشركس يا الرومان يا بقايا الشعوب، إيش دخلكم بالموضوع؟ إيش دخلكم بالسالفة؟ إيش دخلكم بيننا؟ هذا بني إسرائيل على أرضهم.
I wish you could understand Arabic, because if you could, you would thoroughly enjoy what this man is saying. Okay, let's continue on. It's hilarious. Even the use of terms that he's using. At one point, he says a phrase that's similar to the way a Palestinian would say it, in ultimate mockery of them. It's hilarious.
ما لكم أرض أنتم ولا لكم قضية يا جماعة، أنتم أدوختونا واشغلتونا، والأقصى لمعلوميتك ما عندكم أقصى، ما في شيء اسمه.
Did you catch that?
No.
والعمل al-Aqsa. He's saying you don't even have an al-Aqsa. He's saying there was no al-Aqsa. I mean, for a Muslim man who's very closely tied to the royal family of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to make a statement that crazy and not find a repercussion for it?
Since we are talking about this, James, explain to people why in Arabic the name for Jerusalem is El-Quds.
Oh boy. There's some history there. There's a reason why they say
they don't call it Yerushalayim. They don't call it Jerusalem.
Yeah, because they refuse to use terminology that's associated with the Jews. You don't use Jewish terms. You don't use Bible terms to define a piece of land, because if you do, you're acknowledging ownership or possession by the Jews of those things. It's like when we were talking about that building that was destroyed by the Jews in Syria, the Iranian building.
Yeah.
We call it Al-Quds building. Same thing.
What does El-Quds mean now?
Oh gosh.
El-Quds al-Muqaddas.
Yeah.
The area of the temple, Mikdash.
Yeah, but it's not exactly it's not exactly like that. It's not it's derogatory. It's not oh gosh, let me think about it through, because I think I can make it better. I think I can describe it slightly better than you just described it right now. It's not the area of the temple. It's kind of like it's almost like when if you're talking about a bad neighborhood and you would call it the hood or a ghetto.
Okay.
It's kind of like that same draw. It's like they will not acknowledge it as the city of peace. They refuse to acknowledge it as the city of peace.
But what does Quds mean?
It's, oh gosh.
I mean, if I understand correctly, it has a reference to the fact that there was a temple there.
Yeah, that's right. But it's
which they're saying now
you
that
can't even say structure. It's not even it's oh gosh. I don't want to say pagan temple, like pagan establishment, but it's a very secular. There's a secular implication behind it. But that's in essence what you're talking about.
Okay, so Saudi Arabia is now disassociating the Temple Mount in Jerusalem from the event that made it holy.
From what they call the event that made it holy. The problem that MBS has right now, this is and it's a big problem, by the way. The problem that MBS has right now is the scholars, the real Muslim scholars, have always been the ones that are in India and Pakistan.
Oh,
they have always been the smarter ones. They've always been the ones that actually have viable, serious, strong arguments.
Okay.
Normally, that's never been an obstacle for Islam, because we never had the media and never had the ability to transmit these points of views that are coming from this area. And so some of the factions that have been represented as a result of many of the modern claims, it's been irrelevant. But now we have a couple of things that have created a big problem for MBS in Saudi Arabia. One of the first problems that we have is the use of the internet. You have AI in textual analysis. You have information that is now widespread. It's no longer small, but it's widespread information, thanks to people like Jay Smith, who have done a great work in the subject of Islam, where basically we can make an irrefutable assertion that there are no extant manuscripts of the Quran that exist prior to the 9th century. You might be able to argue 8th century AD. Which means if that's the case, then you have something that was written hundreds of years after Muhammad, supposedly, who they call Muhammad, actually died. And even then, you have 90,000 variants, 90,000 possible different copies of the Quran.
Of manuscripts.
Of not even manuscripts.
Well,
The manuscripts that we have, I mean, Islam would wish they had that many original extant manuscripts. They don't. The issue is how do you, and you know this because you speak and read and write a Semitic language, you don't have vowel stems. You don't even have vowels.
no.
You don't, when they say Muhammad, they never said Muhammad. You don't even read Muhammad in those terms. You hear things like Muhammad because you don't see or have any association with any of the letters in the Arabic alphabet that are vowels. So when we say Muhammad in Arabic, we're saying the blessed one. Muhammad in Arabic is another term for Messiah. So when they were using the term Muhammad back then, they were undoubtedly talking about Jesus. And what's even more significant than that, we know now, based on all of the things you can put together, that Islam, as it stands today, is really something that originated from a heresy of Christianity that was taught back in the late 8th century. It was the Ottoman Empire that actually gave us any extant manuscripts that we have of the Quran. And to take it a step further, the one guy who's considered to be the authoritative individual on any of the original manuscripts burned all of the other variants so that he could come to and accept one conclusion as into what certain words meant. And you have a big problem there. So when you hear a phrase like Al-Aqsa, and they talk about these events associated with what the Quran supposedly says happened with a fictitious person that they call Muhammad, there's no validity.
And his magical beast, El Barak.
Yeah. But that's a point. The point is you might as well start telling those fairy tales. And that's in essence where we get phrases like Al-Quds. That's where we get that from, because they will never bring validity to the original names of anything that predated what they have. That's why you'll never hear Yerushalayim. That's why you'll never hear those terms.
So let's finish what he's saying because this is important.
Yeah, it is important. Okay, here we go.
المسجد الأقصى اللي ورد ذكر.
By the way, did you hear that? مفيش اسم القدس. You didn't see the translation there. What that means is there's no name called Al-Quds. We don't use that term. Like, wow.
So what does he say? Does he say Urushalem?
What he's basically saying is the temple belongs to the Jews.
Yeah.
The land belongs to the Jews. We as Muslims, he started the way he started the statement is the Jews are
indigenous.
The way he starts it is he says Abraham had 2 sons, and he said Isaac, which he's talking about Isaac, and then of course he's saying Ishmael. He's saying we, the Arabs, which you're not Arabs, we came from Ishmael. The Jews, they came from Isaac. We're brothers. We have the same dad. We all are the same grandfather. We all have peace with one another. They love us, we love them. That's what he's saying. We're brothers. You are nobody. That's in essence what he's saying. So you're using our terms, you're gaining our ideas, you're taking them out of context, you're making claims that aren't true. And you got to understand what he's saying here is ticking them off.
Yep.
Ticking them off. Look what he goes on to say.
هو بالجعرانة 29 كيلو على الطائف، وكان المسجدين المسجد الأقصى والمسجد الأدنى. المسجد الأقصى حقكم بناه الشام عام 72 هجري. كيف يسرى محمد له وهو مبني عام 72 للهجرة؟
How could Muhammad, you hear him? How could Muhammad visit a structure that was built in 682 when he died in 630?
Yes. Again, there is logic. again, the Muslim world doesn't accept that logic.
But he's walking on a very fine line.
No, he might be.
Because the fine line that
this
he's
is
walking
enough
on...
to get him killed, by the way.
Oh, yeah, but the fine line that he's walking on right now is also the fine line that says, wait, hold on. Now you have to start thinking about al-Kaaba. Because there was no real Kaaba in Saudi Arabia during the time of Muhammad.
Oh, here we go.
The real Kaaba is the square that you see on the Temple Mount.
By the way, when he talks
is
about
Jerusalem.
Kaaba, he talks about the shrine that the Muslims walk around in
That's
circles. That big black box in Mecca that everybody goes to see.
And by the way, just so that you know, the tradition continues to reveal the lies. The tradition in Saudi Arabia is you walk around the Kaaba 7 times. Where do they get walking around the city 7 times from?
But James, here's my problem. And again, maybe we should finish this, and I want to kind of ask a couple of questions based on this. But if this is true, why are so many Palestinians willing not only to die for, but to have their kids die for it?
Because it's a generational thing, Habibi. They're brainwashed. It's just how it goes. It happened from generation to generation. That's what we're seeing.
To get off this brainwash.
That's the whole point, and that's why
what
my
they're
answer.
trying to do.
That's why my answer is Jewish occupation. You have to fix the way they're being educated, and it may take multiple generations, but that's the only way you're going to fix that problem.
More and more Israelis are starting to say that.
That you have to. There's no other way to put it. That's why right now all of them are running from the Philadelphia corridor up to Khan Yunis because they're betting on the fact that Bibi's not going to follow them. They got that wrong. They're mistaken.
Well, we've got an issue with Gaza, and we're going to be there for a long time.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Seems like that.
يعني بعد وفاة محمد ب60 سنة. تضحكون على مين أنتم؟
Who are you trying to fool?
الفلسطيني. أنت ما أنت عربي. ولا لك أرض ولا لك قضية. الأرض أرض إسرائيل. والقضية قضية إسرائيل معكم. كان إسحاق شامير ورابين
Israeli
وشارون
prime ministers.
Yeah, that's right.
والثاني والله ما ادري شو اسمه. هذول كانوا ابطال تدري ولا لا؟ لكن نتنياهو جبان.
Netanyahu Jabal. I mean, that's a harsh term in Arabic.
Yeah.
He's calling him a big coward.
Yep.
I mean, it's just it's heavy. Okay, here we go. Why is he a coward? Here we go.
نتنياهو ما حرككم ما ادري وش يبي بهالاسلحه مكدسها.
Because Netanyahu didn't burn them, is what he's saying.
نتنياهو احرق هالعصابات هذه وهالشتات وهالملفقين وريح نفسك وريح العالم منهم وريحنا احنا منهم. ليش مخليهم؟
ريحنا منهم. It wasn't translated here. But when he says ريحنا منهم, he's saying
For us and them.
like no, he's saying relieve us of them.
Yeah.
Is what he's saying. Like rahni meaning lift them away from us, like remove them from us.
Ugh.
It's
One of the phrases I know in Arabic is "Ruh minhum."
yeah. روح منهم meaning leave from them. That's heavy. It's the same thing. Rahni is very similar.
ليش فتح لهم الحدود يهاجرون؟ إن راحوا للأردن سووا ويلول الأسود، وإن راحوا للكويت انهبوه يوم ما صدام احتله، انهبوا يلبسون لبس الجيش العراقي وينهبون. الخسة والنذالة والحقارة ما يتركونها. هذه تربيتهم وهذا دمهم وهذا عرقهم.
This is why nobody wants the Palestinians.
ليش ما تريح العالم منهم يا نتنياهو إذا أنت رجال وبطل؟ الله يلعنكم ويلعن حتى نتنياهو اللي ما خلصنا منكم.
May God curse you, Palestinians, and may God curse Netanyahu.
والمفروض نتنياهو هو اللي يأدبكم وهو اللي يخلص العالم من شروركم. أنتم شر في أي دولة تحطون فيها يا الفلسطينيين. شر منزل ولا بكم رجل. أنا مستعد أنام عند يهودي ولا أنام عند فلسطيني. أنا مستعد أقلط يهودي في بيتي وأغديه وأوكله وشربه ورقده ولا أدخل فلسطيني في بيتي. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I mean, my goodness. He's saying, I would any day feed a Jew in my house. I would let a Jew sleep in my house. I would dine with them, sit across the table with them, whatever. I would never let you, Palestinians, even come close to me.
I want to change the subject.
Okay.
It just came up on my feed.
Yeah.
Israel is sending Patriot missile systems to Ukraine.
Oh, I did not hear that.
Just now.
What
came
the
up on
heck
the
is
feed.
Bibi doing?
Well,
Israel's not doing that. That's got to be somebody else.
Well, according to this, the United States is told Israel to take some of the Patriot missiles that we got from the United States during the Gulf War and send them to Ukraine.
No way.
That's what
Trump would.
came up.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that one bit. Trump would never send Patriots to Ukraine. Not in a million years. If he did, that would be a stupid one.
Oh.
There's no way. As a matter of fact, Israel has to agree to do that.
Yes, but if Trump says, take some of those Patriot missiles that are ours anyway and send them to Ukraine.
But why? He wouldn't put himself on an adversarial bent towards Putin. He just wouldn't do that.
Not
He's going
sending
over
the
there to end the
systems,
war.
sending some of the interceptors.
He wouldn't do it. Sending Patriot interceptors means the destruction of Russian assets with Russian soldiers.
Okay, so here's what Bibi is saying. He's saying the first thing he did is he called Putin, and he says, America told us to give them back. We didn't know they were going to Ukraine.
So he's talking about something that happened in the Biden era.
Yeah.
That's what that's talking
This
about.
happened, yeah.
That's got to be, because that's not Trump. That's for sure. That's definitely a Biden era thing. Wow, that's crazy.
Interesting. Got to follow up on that one.
Wendy Purcell, thank you so much. And Isaiah 53, many Australians don't want these Fakistinians here. We already have enough troublemakers. Yeah, I think.
By the way, they're very outspoken in Australia. I
Oh,
saw
yeah,
some
sure
of the
they are.
riots there. That's crazy.
Oh,
You
sure
guys
they
are
are.
dealing with the crazies of the Muslim world.
Yeah, this is what we're looking at here is a pretty significant situation. I never thought that they would get that bad. I never thought that Biden, in all of his incredible stupidity, would get that bad to send American patriots over there. I can't even fathom that. He did everything he could to start a war before Trump came in office.
I don't know. We'll see. Interesting. It just came up on the feed.
That's crazy. Okay. Final comments? Anything? We've been going for almost 2 hours.
I'm going back to my underlying feeling. First of all, we're starting to understand the Muslim world. We're starting to understand the Muslim mindset. We're starting to understand that this is a multi-generational war that isn't going to be over anytime soon. We've got it. We've realized this. We will be living in a different way than we were in the past.
Yep.
And it looks like the American administration sees it the way we do. And I have to say, this is a breath of fresh air.
I would agree.
I'm not excited about what I understand now.
Yeah.
Because I got children that were in the Army. I've got grandchildren that are going to be there. I got nephews now in military service. Amir just now finished his basic training.
I know.
By the way, pray for him because he's going to get his paratrooper beret soon, and he has to do a forced march. I think something like 40 or 50 kilometers with full gear on his back. I mean, I just think about the pain that those things
I can't even imagine.
incur. I mean, crazy. But what I'm trying to say is we're realizing that this is just there's going to be more and more. It's not going to be over. And I think that the American administration realizes that there's some other way that we're going to have to deal with. Hamas is never going to back down.
Yeah, I think Hamas is on its way out. I think God, let me just back up for just a second. I think Trump is not going to tolerate it. I think God made us the promise. We know God told us what was going to happen in his word. I think Trump is going to be the guy that he uses to help bring peace in the Middle East. And that's what's necessary in order for this.
No other president has been or would have been able to say, we will move people from Gaza out of Gaza.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, only Trump could do that.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
And whether he does or doesn't, whether he means to or doesn't mean to, I don't know yet. The actual fact that he said that is massive.
Well, they're powerful negotiation tactics.
Yep.
And it's going to bring a lot of people to the table. I mean, I bet you it brings Lithuania to the table. And because of the complications with Morocco and Sahara, that area just south of Morocco. I think it's going to be a big deal.
James, when's the Super Bowl?
I don't know. When's the Super Bowl? I don't know.
I think sometime soon. Are you into what's
No.
happening?
Ever since they all got stupid and woke and all that, I don't watch any of them.
Well, yeah. Well, we're kind of upset because we're going to see the Kansas City Chiefs again, and we're going to see Mrs. Taylor Swift.
Oh, she's a devil worshiper. Taylor Swift worships Satan. No parent who loves God and wants their children to be exposed to righteousness should allow their children to watch that Satan worshiper.
But
she's a Satan worshiper.
Well, here's the thing. But she was on the Kamala side.
I know.
And
yep.
It's really weird.
She is disgusting. She's a child exploiter. And I say that not because she's done anything with children, but because she supported Tim Walz, who basically encouraged the exploitation of children.
We dodged a bullet on that one.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus, that savage animal didn't make it.
So maybe a way to finish this is just to thank Jesus and thank
Amen.
God that this is these are the subjects that we're dealing with.
Yep.
These are the things that are coming up on our feed.
Yep.
And not other things that could be. I mean, they could have raised the amount of how do you say, American condoms that are.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. But thank God that all this stuff is getting looked at. Thank God.
Well, she used the name of that new government that Elon
Doge.
The Doge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems that Doge is.
They're doing it. It's awesome.
So if Elon Musk cut off condoms to the people of Gaza, I mean, already
the fact that they found that kind of stuff, it's like, my gosh, what a wicked, demonic regime that existed prior to the president.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. Okay, bro, you want to do the honors?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Avinu, I just want to say thank you that we're sitting here today and talking and laughing and looking how your plan is being played out. Thank you for changing the momentum, both in the United States and, as it seems now, in the rest of the world. Thank you for a ray of light that has been shown through this dark period that we've been going through, and it is actually a staff that is accompanying us through this dark valley of shadow, and I just feel the change. I want to say thank you for what you've done here, and I want to pray for my people. Pray that the people of Israel who are going through a horrific experience, an experience of giving in and giving up things that are important to us just to get our loved ones back, and it is tearing our souls. Give the Israeli government wisdom, give the Israeli people peace for dealing with this very, 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 very hard period. And thank you that at the bottom of this, just like David said, our enemies rejoice, but we have you. And just say thank you in the name of your son Jesus for being the only thing that we can actually lean on, the only thing that we can actually count on for support. And just thank you for us being part of this. In Jesus.
Amen. All right, guys, we love you. Don't forget, I'm on X. You can go there, subscribe, follow me there. David's got a new video that's out. Make sure you go watch it. We love you guys. Keep fighting the good fight. Keep seeking the Lord. Put him first in all things. Shalom. We love you.